Florida State dunked on Alabama yesterday, 31-17. Now, sometimes there are upsets in college football, and you look at them and you say, yeah, in retrospect, I should have seen it coming. This is not one of those upsets. I'm just completely and utterly stunned. You're looking at someone who picked Alabama to win the national championship. You might be thinking to yourself, I wonder if he's changed his opinion on who's going to win the national championship. Buddy, I don't even know who's going to beat Louisiana Monroe Saturday. So, yeah, I've changed my opinion on who may or may not win the national championship. Do you remember last year in week 0 when Florida State and Georgia Tech played each other and Florida State just marched right down the field on Georgia Tech and scored, and then the rest of their season was a disaster? I ask you that because that is shockingly similar to how this game started for Alabama. They just marched down the field, had 55 rushing yards en route to the end zone. They had 29 rushing yards the rest of the game. Give me this piece of paper. I should have popped the paper for that. 55 rushing yards opening drive, 29 the rest of the game. It was bad, guys. It was worse than bad. It was a disaster. You never would have known which of these teams panicked and had to overhaul their staff and had to gut their roster and go wholesale changes out of the portal versus which one thought they had their act together, was looking forward to a lot of guys returning, really, really good coaching staff. You never would have known which was which because yesterday college football happened instead of, well, candidly, a pro wrestling match. Speaking of pro wrestling, my goodness, did you see Tess? In retrospect, I should have known something crazy was going to happen because when they put Joe Tess on camera yesterday, Tess looked like he was in Doak Campbell, and hats off to the environment they created. That is the number one power-rated play-by-play guy in the sport right now. Why? Well, because he called a WrestleMania-level main event yesterday at 3:30 Eastern Time, but it looked like the night before he pulled off a successful operation somewhere in South America of questionable legality. I was so disappointed that one of the buttons found its way to the clasp midway through the broadcast. Because if anything, I wanted one more button to get undone. So Tess had a great day yesterday. Florida State had a great day yesterday. Most of America had a great day yesterday. And we do talk about winners first on the show. So that is a rule around here. We had a little debate internally, is this the biggest win of Mike Norvell's career? Now keep in mind, this man has won a conference title. There was not a conference title on the line yesterday, but the entire reputation of his program was. The entire reputation of him as a coach kind of was on the line, because if this one goes sideways, there's no guarantee that it ever gets on the rails this year. And remember, they tapped out last year, week 1. They're just dead on arrival, and they never woke up. And if that were to have happened again, who knows? Actually, everyone knows. Everyone knows what the talk would have been. And not only did they win, it was resounding. They won and they dominated. They didn't win because Bama was minus 4 turnovers. They didn't win because it poured rain the whole day. And it was just like trying to get your hands on a greased pig to try and possess the football. There was some weather, but they both played in it. And man, they were so prepared, so much more prepared, so much better coached than Alabama. Played with more passion and intensity than Alabama, just a bunch of stuff I didn't think I'd say. And so massive respect for Tommy Castellanos too. One of the other rules we have here on the Pate State campus is we do not mind if you talk as long as you're talking about someone you're going to have to play. That's just like, I don't care if you talk about someone behind their back as long as you're willing to fight them to their face. Well, Tommy Castellanos straight up talked trash about Alabama, but Alabama was on the schedule. So that's fine. And not only did he talk it, he played it. He talked like a field general. He talked like Tarzan, but he also played like Tarzan, which is fine. Then you can beat your chest and scream as loud as you can possibly scream and let it echo all throughout the jungle. That's what Tommy Castellanos did. Now he's got T-shirts to prove it. And I'd go buy 5 of them right now if I were you. Because he was very prophetic. Tommy Prophet, if you will. Just a glaring difference in identity for Florida State. History and conventional wisdom, I was talking about in the Texas-Ohio State game, history and conventional wisdom screamed to me when we were down there in the spring. We had Mike on the show. He was talking about how he was very, very sure that they made all the right moves. And I remember I came back, and the next show we had, I said, I really believe that he believes that. Let's say he's right. The shame of it would be, this is me talking a few months ago, the shame of it would be if Mike's right, if he made all the right moves, they got all the right players in there, so personnel's right, staffing, Tony White, defensive coordinator, Gus Malzahn, offensive coordinator, he made all the right moves, but it takes some time that he won't be afforded. That's what I said would be a shame, because that's the way it's supposed to work. You go and just put a bunch of new seeds in the ground. They're not supposed to sprout week one. And they did. I don't know how he watered them. I don't know what fertilizer he used down there. It's probably not government approved, but it worked. Just, we got a big crop there already. The identity, just the energy, the passion, the fire, everything Bama didn't have, Florida State did have, because Florida State didn't have it last year. And that was really what was disappointing about them last year, more so than just they lost games. They quit. They were a dead team. And then I was left to wonder, like many others, okay, if you're the head coach, if you're the face of the program, and your program trots out a team that just quits, do you ever wash yourself of that? We got our answer. Well, we got at least 1 week's worth of an answer, and I'm pretty sure we're going to copy and paste it for several weeks thereafter. Yes. The answer is yes. This day and age, I guess you can wash yourself of that. The immediate change at the line of scrimmage was the most glaring. They were second best a whole lot last year at the line of scrimmage, and there's just no way I would have believed they would have owned it both ways unless I saw it. But I saw it yesterday, and now I believe it. Hey, really quick timeout. We'll get right back to the video. Do me one favor. Make sure you're subscribed. It helps us keep the show free. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep doing college football year-round. And we appreciate it. All right, back to the video. We do something on this show once a week, every Sunday. It's very special. It's very, very unenviable a position to be in. You don't ever want to find yourself in this spot. Very few teams that find themselves in this spot go on to do great things. If you're new around here, this is the Sarah McLachlan special. Alabama. 5-5 in their last 10 games now. DeBoer's fourth loss to an unranked opponent in 14 games. It took Saban like 270 games to get that far into his career before he lost 4 times to an unranked opponent. Bama got outrushed 230-87. 55 of those 87 rush yards were on the first drive of the game, by the way. 4 drives finished in FSU territory with 0 points. They scored on the opening drive. They gave up 24 unanswered. They were 8 of 22 on 3rd and 4th downs. They were horrifically undisciplined again. 8 penalties, 70 yards, a couple of them game-changing in nature. Paper popper. Alabama has not played a game under Kalen DeBoer where they had less penalties than the opponent. Let me repeat it one more time for my fine friend back here. They have not played a game under DeBoer now in over a year where they had less penalties than the opponent. Alabama is our Sarah McLachlan special. That's my preseason national championship pick, Alabama. Sometimes you see it coming. I did not. I went and watched this team practice in the spring, scrimmage in the spring. I went and watched them scrimmage in the fall. I came back and I didn't speak specifically, but I spoke generically about how good I felt about them when I watched them. And I guess my eyes lied to me badly. My eyes aren't the only lies that got lied to. They had 1 run of 10-plus yards. FSU had 7. It's almost so earth-tilting, you really don't know what to think. Like, I thought Alabama, obviously, was a championship-caliber team going in there. I thought Florida State was very much going to be a work in progress, even in the best of cases. This warped my perspective so much, I almost looked at it for Florida State afterwards and said, Alabama may be terrible. Maybe we ought not get too excited about Florida State yet. Like, think about what 4 quarters of football can do to one's perspective. It's not healthy. I look forward to it all year, but it's not healthy what this can do to you. That's why Mimo always said, predict in pencil, Joshua. Predict in pencil. It's okay to have predictions. It's okay to have preseason rankings and power ratings. You better write them in pencil, because what's on the other end of a pencil? That's right, sir. Yes, that's right, ma'am. An eraser. We can erase. But if you write in Sharpie, And I'm afraid I said some things in Sharpie about Alabama. They're there forever. They're there forever. Dual threat quarterbacks continue to embarrass them, but that's sometimes a kind of game where you watch defenders play with their hair on fire and their own aggressiveness is used against them. Gus Malzahn's made a career against Alabama at doing that. This wasn't necessarily just that. This is flat out elements of just higher competitive character I thought they'd have than last year that they did not have, and maybe they don't have. That's the most alarming part. You know, Sark's got a quarterback that had accuracy issues yesterday, and his mechanics are off. But overall, his team played extremely physical, and they got a lot of talent, and Texas will be okay. I don't know that Alabama will be okay because Alabama lacked fundamental characteristics that any kind of team that's going to compete for anything has to have. Just like the effort, the toughness, the competitive character, the will to win. Things that you learn to take for granted under Nick Saban that you never should take for granted no matter how consistently your coach trots it out there. Georgia gets to enjoy this now. Georgia will never not have high levels of competitive character on the field. Ohio State will never not have that. Texas will never not have that. They won't win every game they play, maybe or maybe not win a championship, but they will have those things. Oregon will have it under Dan Lanning. Clemson will have it under Dabo. May not win, but those are certain non-negotiables in high-level college football that you've got to have. They all have it. Bama doesn't have it. Haven't had it. Didn't have it yesterday. Ty Simpson's taking a beating right now. And the weird thing there is with all the fundamental issues Alabama had yesterday, I'm almost hesitant to bang on Ty Simpson because, yeah, he was inaccurate. And, yeah, they're probably going to lack a vertical threat that they need to make that offense work with him. Like, I've got questions about his overall potential. Did at least he put his face in the fan? I wish they had more guys play with the heart Ty Simpson did because he played his tail off. They came up short. He didn't light the world on fire. I didn't doubt his passion and desire, at least. I cannot say the same for other guys on that roster. So what does today teach us? What does September teach us? What's the rest of September teach us about this game? Because Bama's got an out-of-conference opponent. They got another out-of-conference opponent. They're eventually going to play Georgia on the road. It's a good thing that one's not this upcoming week. But for both of these teams, I'm asking myself, okay, I watched week one. Horrific for Alabama. Great result for Florida State. What is the rest of September going to teach me about it? Because this happens every year in college football. Every year you see some result in week one and you can't get it out of your head. And there are results to the contrary multiple weeks in a row, but you cannot divorce yourself from that week one, that initial opinion you had. So the initial opinion for me on Alabama is they're not a contender. My initial opinion on Florida State is prime contender in the ACC. Well, I'm drawing those conclusions based on a result against the other. What if Florida State's the best team in the country, for example, and Alabama just went down there and got caught in a hornet's nest? Well, it changes your perspective a little bit in the weeks to come. Conversely, what if Alabama's just terrible and we're pumping Florida State up only to watch them fall because you were basing the inflation on a result against a bad team we just didn't know was bad yet? So September's going to teach us a lot. Don't even have to get to October. Just let's see them play a few games. Maybe FSU is all the way back, though. For my preseason national championship pick's sake, I hope that's the case. Because if it's not, that bracket's going to look worse and worse every week. And a lot of people talk trash to me about it. And I will say, there are some of you who called this. There are some of you who said it's ridiculous to pick Alabama to win the title, and you gave me your predictions. Talk all you want. There were a few people, Cannell notably not one of them, there were a few people who told me Florida State would win this game. Talk all you want to. You put your predictions out there publicly, you talk all you want to. I have zero time for anyone who didn't put their predictions out there. Don't care what you have to say. I love that you're watching. Don't care what you have to say about it. It was bad. It was bad. I was driving home. I was having to sort of quasi-listen to it, pull over on exit ramps to watch the big third downs. It was bad. I just ask this. I just ask, if you sat here and you got immense joy out of watching me just kind of lurch around on the end of the hook, to subscribe to the channel at least. Just do me that. Just give me a subscription. It's free. It's free. Watching me torture myself is free. It's free to subscribe to the channel. I hope I made your day better. I hope my misery delivered you some joy.